Well, like, tell you what, this time last year, I was out and about doing this and that with my other half of the time. Point being, though, I had a bit of a fucking social life. Now it's a bit hit and miss a year later, and I find myself at 29 years old feeling compelled at fucking what, 11:30 at night almost to bring people's attentions to just some of the nonsense that I've come across in the space of the last hour or so. Scottish government, gotta love it. You really have to love it. You know, and what fundamentally pisses me off more than absolutely everything else is the fact that they are paid to punt out this bullshit. So I was having a wee scroll through. Obviously, like, the Parliament's just sort of come back in or they've come out of their fucking unjustifiable recess, right? And subsequently speaking, what's occurred is them talking a rake of waffle in the Parliament, as per usual. I was half expecting to hear some sort of clickbait material from somebody going, "Oh, what are we going to do about the far right? I don't know, but they're really far right. They're really racist. Stand outside our doors." Didn't necessarily hear that, but what I decided to do was go back and just briefly, because it's something that I did miss, but it was something that I had previously covered in the past, which is the program for government. As the years have gone by over the course of the past few years, I used to clip a lot of S&P conferences. I used to talk quite often about or post, should I say, stuff from the program for governments that were sort of punted out year upon year upon year. And for obvious reasons, I guess, I sort of missed the last one. And I wish I didn't. To be honest, I wish I didn't, because there he is there in all his glory. Slippery. Fuck, mate. I mean, I'm not the most photogenic guy in the world, but fuck, Anyway, times are tough for households and businesses across Scotland, and the world around us is changing in ways that are difficult to predict. Really, really, is that right, Slippery Swinny? However, just ever so slightly, I'm going to come to this, right? Yep. So let me scroll up a bit just to put this into context. So part of their program for government for this year going into 2026 is ensuring equality, right? Whilst the impacts of poverty are felt widely, they are also felt disproportionately. Can you smell that intersectionality? Minority ethnic communities, predominantly women, single parents, and disabled people all face far higher levels of poverty. I'll just make it fucking make sense. And I'm not getting bogged down in that, but that in and of itself, the rhetoric, the pish that they come away with time and time again, unchallenged bullshit. I'm just saying it. So it's basically everybody that's not a straight white man. Right? We get that, right? Don't need to bang that fucking Bengali drum any more than I already have done in the past. Anyway, right? Policies that value diversity and advance equality and inclusion are under threat around the world. I mean, we're paying for this, by the way, right? This government remains dedicated to protecting and respecting and fulfilling the rights of all in Scotland, whilst guarding against the spread of hate and prejudice, while simultaneously, indirectly spreading hate and prejudice towards white men. We said about that a bit. However, right, like, there's a few things that I want to bring up specifically with this fucking shite, right? So I'm not going to get tongue-tied any further. Creating safe spaces for the LGBTQI plus, funding work that tackles discrimination and upholds the human rights of this group, including through the Equality and Human Rights Fund, and progressing actions with the non-binary action plan. Developing draft legislation and policy towards ending conversion practices in Scotland, right? Developing legislation to incorporate certain international human rights treaties. Oh, govern me harder, UN daddy, right? Okay, but then we come up to this bit where we're still in the same section. Okay, in response to the recommendations from the National Advisory Council on Women and Girls to prioritize the needs of marginalized women and girls, aka all women and girls, okay, and trans men, or sorry, women. We will work with them and gender equality stakeholders, of course, stakeholders, in the development of our next tackling child poverty delivery plan to strengthen the focus on gender in the plan and to inform the actions it commits to, right? Improving disability competence across government and holding cabinet takeover to ensure accountability to the highest levels of government whilst improving access to support and services. Right, but this little bit here. Right. Okay, before there's a tiny other additional segment I want to get to after the fact. But this fucking waffle. What is this shit? Right. I'm going to start off with this and then I'm going to sort of go back to this. Establishing through a multi-year procurement a new integration support service ensuring refugees, people seeking asylum, and other forced migrants living in our communities can access support they need when they need it within the scope of devolved competence, right? Again, you're paying for the shit. But this, launching the Anti-Racism Observatory for Scotland, which will work with governments, public bodies, lovely body, and communities to deliver on our vision to tackle systemic racism in Scotland. Oh, fuck off. Fuck. Redacted off. But regard the Anti-Racism Observatory. I recall like last year, round about this time or thereabouts, I did a video. I might have done a video. It was either that or a Telegram post, but I most certainly covered it on a stream round about this time last year, where I was going through some of the BS from the program for government, and they mentioned this fucking anti-racism observatory, right? I still don't understand per se what the hell this is supposed to be, but this is this year, right? So it says, uh, following an open procurement process, the contract to host the Anti-Racism Observatory for Scotland was awarded by Scottish Government to Strathclyde University in collaboration with CER, C-R-E-R, elaborated or abbreviated even. The need for an observatory that would hold the Scottish Government and other public sector bodies to account for the commitment to anti-racism came to the forefront during the COVID-19 CUFI, which once again exposed that long-standing systemic racism which still stands or still exists, and can have fatal consequences. So I still don't understand per se what this is all about, right? But I mean, I'm highlighting this because this is in their program for government, and you're paying for the shit, and you're voting for this, by the way. If you fall for the bullshit, oh, I want my independence, but like this here, where it says that they intend or the intention is to hold them to account. If we come back to the program for government, right, we come up here and we go to the National Advisory for Council Women and Girls, right? Part of their fucking shtick, so to speak, is to hold the government to account if they don't adhere to the feministic principles that are put forth. So it's the same shit, more or less, right? Right, okay. Prior to the award of the contract, a long period of exploration and consultation was carried out by previous advisory groups. More information is available here, blah, blah, blah. The results of this engagement will inform the setting up of, I don't know what that's supposed to stand for, Anti-Racism Observatory Scotland, I presume. And they're looking for a CEO. Oh yeah. Look at this, right? Look at this. This recruitment is now underway for the role of a founding CEO of the Anti-Racism Observatory for Scotland. Fuck, man. Look at this. Look at this. 80 grand full time. The Anti-Racism Observatory for Scotland, hosted by the University of Strathclyde, is funded or is in part funded by the Scottish Government, aka you, aka me, aka every other dickhead that votes for them and otherwise, which supports community-led efforts to tackle racism, define it, and the public said fucking 80 grand. What? For further details, just no. Wow. Oh God, this is Rainbow Unicorn Land, boys. Wow. The UK government pays private companies huge profits to house people seeking asylum in unsuitable accommodation. Instead, they could invest that money in local communities and provide social housing for everyone who needs it. Yeah, well, that brings me on to something about to cut. This is the Scottish Refugee Council as well, by the way. But I mean, this piss annoys me as well on a side note. People in asylum hotels do not live in 5-star luxury. Conditions are very basic. Most people share cramped hotel rooms with complete strangers. They have no cooking or laundry facilities, and have no choice about when or what they eat. People seeking asylum are not allowed to work and earn their own money. If housed in a hotel, you receive just £10 per week. That isn't enough to cover public transport for vital appointments that they don't actually have to pay for when they get there in the fucking first place, aka, for example, dentistry, right? Irrespective, right? Why the fuck are we supposed to feel sorry for these people when they're talking, they lived in cramped conditions in hotels and stuff, right? Oh, and B&Bs, right? What about homeless? What about our own? You know, and I've said this before, and I will continue to reiterate and re-stress this fucking point over and over again until I am blue in the face, right? The end of the matter is this, quite clearly, right? These people, not specifically the Scottish Refugee Council, but like our government and our councillors, etc., right? They will never, ever, ever, ever fucking concede one iota that these people, these asylum seekers and or these refugees, even remotely exacerbate the issues that are concurrent. They can't do it. They can't do it because in order for them to do that, they give ground to their opposition. They can't be seen to be doing so. So they will continuously gaslight you and make you think that you're a racist, you're a bigot, etc., right? I don't give a fuck about people in cramped conditions in hotels and whatnot when we have our own who are on waiting lists. We have our own who are homeless. We have our own freezing to death in the fucking winters and whatnot over the course of the past few years, not limited to veterans, not limited to, but just in general. Our own are stuck in homeless accommodation and whatnot, right? And you want to add fuel to that fire, right? These people are exacerbating the problem simply by being here, and that has nothing to do with them as people per se. But they can't do that, can they? They can't just turn around and say that. So, the dumb say they're not getting paid enough. I think there was another bit there. No, there's no. But that brings me on to this, right? Briefly, so obviously the SNP Rainbow Unicorn Parliament ending children living in unsuitable accommodation, etc. So that's Housing Emergency Action Plan has been published, right? And so they're saying, again, it's like elephants in the room. Progress today. We have supported around 2,700 households with children, right? They've removed barriers on stalled sites to deliver up to 20,000 new homes, and still, council after council after council continues to declare a fucking housing crisis. So why is that? Why is that? Right? Building our future, maximising investment in Scotland's housing. Our response to the housing emergency, the fact that it's even why have we got a housing emergency? Our population is increasing year upon year upon year, right? And they say it themselves, this is immigration related, right? They say it. I'm just using their own words. Would it not stand to reason that until such a time as there's enough houses to cater for the people that you intend to import, you should put a fucking stop to people being imported here? Oh, that's fascist and racist and pretty far right. Actually, don't be saying that. It's like, what? But yeah. Anyway, so over the past year, work across the planning system has accelerated in support of the housing emergency. We are committed to building on this momentum with a clear expectation of an emergency-led approach to decision making, both in the preparation of local development plans and the determination of planning applications. The delivery of more affordable housing homes remains the beating heart of our approach. We're so progressive here. Through the Affordable Housing Supply Programme, we will continue to build on our strong track record of delivering for the people of Scotland, despite the fact year upon year upon year. As I said, I literally just said that, like fucking more and more councils were declaring housing emergencies. You know, just pull the other one. Charity begins at home and all that jazz. Quite clearly, fucking not to some of these people, though. Anyway, that brings me back to this program for government, right? So let me get to this. Right. We have we have set out bold measures to eradicate child poverty, build a stronger economy, renew the NHS, reduce pressure on family finances, and take effective climate action. These priorities are all part of our ambition for Scotland, all the people of Scotland, right? Closer cooperation on energy and climate, including on emissions trading, right? But there's a specific section I really fucking want to get to, and it just ties this whole thing in neat and nice. So I'm hoping that I can fucking find it without having to do any editing. That would be nice. It would be lovely while we were. Maybe here. The government is working hard to address the twin crises of climate change and nature loss. No, it's new that, but regardless, I mean, I'm getting fed up with this waffle and all that. You know, if the climate is really changing and it's as bad as they proclaim it is, then why the fuck did they stand there and cry about fucking transgender rights and independence, etc., etc.? That's not really the sort of rhetoric I expect from people that believe that the science has been settled. But I think it might even be up here. Yeah. Actually, fucking hell, I had it at the beginning. Times are tough for households and businesses across Scotland and the world around us in this changing ways that are difficult to predict. Right. What I've always found the most egregious, especially in recent times, is our rainbow unicorn government, the SNP, right? The people that continuously get voted in year upon year upon year because they wave fucking saltires when it suits them, right? Okay. They are exploiting the ever growing hardships of people and they divert blame and they completely distance themselves from any fucking semblance of responsibility. But it's Westminster's fault, it's austerity, etc. Right? Reality of the matter is our cost of living crisis that they've referred to time and time again in recent years, or have been referring to in recent years. Right? This can all be harkened back to fucking the Russia-Ukraine bullshit that began just a few years ago. And I want to remind people of this. Right? Here is this. Right? Just listen. Just listen. Of course, they'd love to bring Brexit into the conversation whenever they can. John Swinney, Hamza Yusuf, Nick Lipton, limps back in the day. I don't really necessarily think that you can really say with a straight face that Brexit here, quote unquote, is responsible for any of our fucking ills in any major capacity, given the fact that within months of us allegedly officially leaving the EU, we all had to pretend there was a fucking pandemic going on. That's here nor there. More specifically and more importantly, though, right? Sanctions on Russia, big base Slavic Papa Putin, right? What happened as a consequence of that? We need to put we need to put sanctions on Putin, big Slavic bear riding Papa Putin, right? We need to put these sanctions. We need to squeeze Papa Putin, right? We need to we need to pressurize Papa Putin, and subsequently, as a consequence, that means that we're going to have to struggle for a bit. Okay, so cereal prices are going to go up, petrol prices are going to go up, reliance on fucking energy is going to go up because we're trying to put the squeeze on Papa Putin. Okay, but it's for the greater good. Fuck off, right? So when these people
bang on to the end about fucking, times are tough, eh? But it's Westminster's fault or it's Brexit's fault. Look closer to home, these fucking cunts are scum. And on that note, 20 minutes long, didn't intend it for that. I'm just saying, adios, I guess. Bye-bye.